Hey everyone, welcome back to PODCAD. We're here in the back rooms with a very special guest today. This man in front of us has explored every depth and crevice within the GTA that evokes nostalgia and feelings of unease, yet also ease. We're talking about liminal spaces, and we're here joined with an expert in the field. Arya, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
No problem.
What a grand introduction.
Of course.
Yes. I dare say I haven't explored every nook and cranny, and I might never get the chance to do so, but here's one nook that I'll have explored.
Exactly, yeah. I'm going to write down all the spaces that...
I'll tell you what, there is in the TIFF library, there's like this alien creature. They keep a lot of props there.
Yeah. Kind of like the old Silver City kind of thing hanging from the ceiling, right?
Yeah, very scary.
Those are the best, man. Like, those were made to terrify the kids on the way to see, like, G-rated movies.
Think about it. You know the UFO in Yorkdale? You know, in like the
like off the highway.
No. Like you go into the Cineplex and there's the UFO.
Hanging up on
from the ceiling.
Yeah.
I don't watch movies at Yorkdale.
Oh well, that.
We're not in high school. That's what we're saying.
They came to mind. It's a very striking image.
Yeah, you know,
I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, right off the bat, what drew you towards exploring liminal spaces and turning this into such a big project?
Well, it was kind of accidental. During the pandemic, like a lot of people, I was being bombarded with loads of content on TikTok, short form, endless loop, scrolling, feeling like garbage, you know, just being hypnotized.
Why isn't my life that interesting?
Exactly, right? Right. Just kind of feeling gutted, like the time was being robbed from me. And then there was this one meme, this one trend that kind of took off. It was like probably in, I want to say 2021, which was hyper nostalgia, where suddenly you would be bombarded with like this rapid carousel of things you haven't seen since you were maybe 6 years old or 5 years old. Yeah. And these are not the obviously nostalgic things. Like, you know, it's not like My Little Pony or Barney, but it's like the shows that you forgot you remember. Or the music that you forgot, and when you went to the Shoppers and you could sample the different, you know, you got the Kelly Clarkson, Since You've Been Gone. You remember that?
Yeah.
It was these things that you forgot were actually pivotal moments in your life being shown to you again in this new context of a pandemic where we're all locked in our homes. And it was like the feeling of drinking water in the middle of a desert. Right? I was totally parched.
Yes.
And I was being like quenched with this content. So it was something about it was really holy. And after just, of course, the algorithms started to serve me and they started to send me a lot more of this content. And I was like, wow, finally this app is actually making me feel better as a human, making me feel actually like a whole person. And I was like, I want to do something about it. So I did some research. I learned about the Backrooms video game. I didn't dive too deep into that. Never played it, actually, believe it or not. But I also learned about liminal space. And it's something I had heard of before in passing, but I never really like went deep into it. But then the first question I had when I learned about these spaces is I was like, wait, so if this is a space, don't these exist in real life? And why is nobody doing walking tours of them? Why are we not meeting up there? Why, like, you know, we're running out of things to do. Do you ever find that you and your friends, you're like, how do we hang out without spending money?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
100%.
So I was like, finally.
Me and my girlfriend.
Right. Oh, well, we won't get into that. But finally, you can cut that out so you don't get in trouble. But finally, I was like, whoa, me and my friends, let's just be a bunch of nerds. And let's go to a random corner of a mall that I found attractive. And we did that, and it was an experiment. It was magical. And there's much more to the story, but I think that answers your question of how I got into it.
Yeah.
I think it's a very fascinating thing because obviously everybody that's like grown up in this sort of like, you know, within this generation will have that sort of like nostalgia towards these spaces because they are just such like a quintessential thing where, like, you know, people used to go to malls, right? Like, we didn't have Amazon where you could just order stuff. Like, if you wanted to buy something, you were going to the mall.
But we did, but it was just books.
Yeah, but I think it's just this it's this fascinating sort of thing where like no matter like what mall you went to, they were all in this same aesthetic, and it just happens that these liminal spaces are the only spaces that still hold on to this sort of aesthetic or building because they've been trapped in time, right? Like,
Yeah. Malls are a special thing, and malls are a hyperfixation within liminal assembly, I would say, because it's more than just malls. I'd like to extend to hotels. I want to show people like abandoned water parks, things like that are really cool. But malls in themselves are really special because I think that if you've studied art history or if you've studied a lot of art from the Roman times would depict the Dionysian festival, which was a really major thing that would happen in ancient Rome, where just people would be out in the streets. They'd be doing things I'm not going to say on this podcast. I'm not sure what the rating of this podcast is.
Say whatever
you can
like.
say whatever you like.
Yeah, there'd be just a giant drunk orgy, basically, with a bunch of promiscuity. And those were something that carried hundreds of years, called the festival. And people were like, that was a big thing. And then that eventually went completely extinct. And now we don't even know, like most people don't even know about those today. And so in our time, and every time they have these big things that unite people, that it's not awkward to suddenly encounter lots of people you know there. You would even dare go there just to see people that you might know. And the malls were for more than just commerce, right? I was talking to someone about this earlier today. It's like Amazon, in obsolescing the mall, they're doing something really much bigger than that. They're actually, and I'm not trying to take some like, let's topple the system, but like Amazon is actually hurting the nuclear family of North America by toppling the shopping center. That's where you would go on a Sunday morning to see your grandparents, your cousins, your everyone, your friends. You don't even need anything. Just take a walk.
I think it's like a number of factors why malls are like losing their popularity. And like, how do you feel about, you're not allowed to loiter in many malls? Yeah.
I actually, I did a deep dive into this anti-loitering design, right? I like to call it anti-hospitable design, because that's what it is. We want you in and out. And it used to be that interior architecture. Any of you guys study in environmental design?
I took one class.
I have, yeah.
Cool. Okay, one class. Okay.
Brief history.
So it used to be that environments were designed to draw people in and to take good care of them, because that's what the expectation was of the consumer, right? So I live in a really old building in Toronto. And the reason I chose an old building was because it just feels warm on the inside. It feels like it's trying to draw in company. But you look at these new buildings designed today, and it's like the second you walk in, you have to state your intention. Yeah. Who are you? Yeah. Why are you here? Right? Is it mailbox?
You're definitely not going to stay here. Get in the elevator.
And malls are no different, right? Shopping centers, like they're made to just zoom right through.
Yeah.
When they used to have benches and plants and all this
true.
stuff.
Yeah,
right?
they took out all the benches.
A good like reminder of that for me is like, when speaking of malls, is like a mall like Sherway Gardens, where like I remember as a kid and stuff, it had this like crazy food court that had these like huge like paper mache like sculptures of like the different food, and there was like the like live trees inside the mall and stuff, and it was just like this awe as a child of being like, how do they have nature inside of this place, and this like just like it was a cozy environment, and now it's been turned into this like cold sort of like tile and just like
sterilized,
minimal,
like unoffensive architecture.
Yeah, once they get rid of that Cinnabon smell, then we riot.
You know what the smell is, though, actually, because the smell is very important, because it's the things that we see that we usually tend to remember, but the smells that it's hard to remember smells on demand until you smell them. The smell of the old mall is the chlorine in the fountains.
Holy moly, I didn't even think about that.
And I remember staring into that.
I guess that's not by design. They weren't in a boardroom and saying like, I bet it would really draw people in if the chlorine smell. I know chlorine smell, so I can't like.
I got a story.
In 20 years,
when did you almost drown?
Oh no, I taught like kids how to swim for around 5 years. So like, chlorine was the reason I left. But
wow.
I think about it, like chlorine smell. I also know like straight away the Cinnabon smell just came like instantly.
Yeah. When it's Dufferin Mall.
Yeah, Dufferin Mall was the
Cinnabon
spot.
Yeah.
That was a smell that you at the time you got sick of, right? Because you had too many cinnamon buns, and then when you would smell it would no. Really? Okay,
Dad
this
would
is just
never buy
personal.
me a cinnamon.
Oh,
We'd
so
always
it's
pass
just like
by,
this
wow, so you're
tantalizing
just-
thing.
yeah.
Constantly being edged by cinnamon.
Yeah, exactly.
And then that's why come probably grade 8 for you.
Yeah.
You did the cinnamon challenge.
No, I didn't. I should have. Let's do it right now.
That's
we have
crazy.
like coffee
That's
ground.
crazy.
Coffee ground chill.
Little
Yeah.
mil- little cinnamon
Have
challenge.
you ever been to what was formerly Galleria Mall?
Whoa, so I actually
Ooh,
haven't.
yeah.
Yeah.
I came frighteningly close
Yeah.
to taking a tour there. They closed, what was it, this past winter? The last winter? That's when
Well,
ago.
it's been in the making.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been
Well-
it was a fairly large mall. They had a Zellers in there, but then they chopped it in half a few years ago, and they're slowly kind of
Yep.
getting rid of it to build a.
If
a
you want to
condo.
know everything and
Yeah.
everyone in that mall, just keep on asking us questions.
Yeah.
'cause we'll-
But yeah,
Yeah.
that was the spot.
was
for
your
a
when
while.
when I
Yeah.
think of a liminal space, like in the sense of nostalgia and just weird looking, just like kind of like just late 80s, early 90s kind of interior,
Brown terracotta
brown,
tile.
brown terracotta.
Just
There's
Skylights.
Washed brown tile.
yeah, or just like a little arcade with like a claw machine, or like those card vending machines.
Yeah.
Wooden
They had
stair
a-
rails.
They,
Just,
yeah, they had a little Ferris wheel too.
yeah,
like all those little things.
I think for me, like one of like the big thing that was like a denoter, a marker of like liminal spaces being formed is it always is when the big retailer pulls out, right? It's
Yep.
when the Zellers or the Sears says we're no longer conducting business here, that the mall, that's what they like rely on, right? Like that is what
Yep.
draws customers in. So when that's gone, it leads to this downfall of like space being important almost.
That's why I like to compare malls to like the Dionysian Festival of Rome, because we need to realize that these malls are literally houses of cards. And the business model behind them is that the anchor stores, they often actually sometimes don't pay rent, or they pay subsidized rent. That's how important they are to malls. They bring in the traffic. And so when an anchor store pulls out and they can't find another one even for a number of months, then they start immediately losing other vendors. And so it's a cascading effect. So from the business model standpoint and from for the sustainability of that business model, we're looking at the beginning of the end of malls.
Yeah.
However, from a day-to-day average Joe guy who likes to see cool things, that's when malls actually start to get really interesting, because they suddenly become affordable to people in the community who can actually open up businesses and a whole, array of diverse businesses that actually represent the communities that these malls are in. And that's also why I recommend visiting, what I would harshly call dying malls. So much more interesting.
I have a question about a mall that's like sort of in this state of it's slated to be demolished very soon, and it is slowly down. I'm wondering if you've ever been to it. It's at Islington and the Queensway. It had for the longest time like the last Zellers in Canada in it, and it recently shut
yeah.
down
That's the one
a year ago and got turned into like the Bay Liquidation Center, so all the stuff there.
I think I almost went there yesterday. Is this in Etobicoke?
Yes,
Okay, I was gonna go there yesterday.
it's a really fascinating one because like it lost its anchor store as the Zellers, so its anchor store now has become the grocery store that's in there, the Sobeys.
That's a pretty good anchor replacement. I'd say like that's a successful anchor replacement. A grocery store is something that people will always need.
Yeah.
But I've seen ones where they've replaced it with like a religious temple or like a voting station or things like that, and it's like,
Good luck.
For
that's
me,
not revenue generating very
like,
much.
a fascinating thing for me too was during COVID was obviously like with everyone being stuck in lockdown and stuff, these spaces that had already been forgotten almost became even more forgotten, right?
Yeah.
Because the limited, like the very small amount of foot traffic that these spaces still had disappeared. And I think, I don't know, what is your thought on like sort of how that has affected these spaces as well?
Well, I think we bounced back more than I ever thought we would, to be honest. I thought that a lot of the elements during the pandemic that we saw, empty streets, empty shopping centers, very little travel, all that, I was convinced that an element of that was going to remain. But I think what we've seen is actually a revenge revenge purchasing, revenge traveling, people not even wanting to be at home if possible. So I kind of almost feel like, in that sense, the pandemic has made the streets busier. But in terms of the businesses, that you cannot recover the damage done by the lockdowns, right? So it messed out on all that revenue. A lot of streets became franchise ridden because all of the mom and pop shops had to close down. Don't even get me started on the cannabis
explosion.
And it's going to be, well, the thing with the pandemic though was that it was the most liminal thing that I'd ever seen, because things gradually decaying and wearing away is liminal, because like you see it and they have remnants of what they once were, but a lot of it is just evidence of decay. However, what's super liminal is seeing a space that had people and is equipped for people, but they had to pull out unexpectedly. And then it just has the equipment where it's like someone could walk in right now and, it's like you can hear the noise that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I have a great story about that. I was a couple years ago, I was working in Hamilton doing photography for like Santa Claus photos and stuff. And as part of that, their flagship store in this mall had shut down. It was a Sears. And the Sears model is it's always like the 2-story thing. The escalators and stuff, that's what they were known for. 2 or 3 stories each section thing. So for that job and stuff, we were obviously doing it inside the main mall and stuff, but they needed a space to store everything at night and for like the elves and Santa to get changed and stuff. And in that, for that job and stuff, that change room and stuff happened to be in the old Sears. So we had to walk through with all our gear through this like shuttered locked door and stuff that you could slightly crack open, and it was just the whole store empty. The shelves were just all empty, still in there and stuff.
Wow.
Hadn't been touched since probably 2010, 2011 when it shut down. And like the shocking thing was you could still hear the mall because the floor below had been turned into another store. So I was standing at the top of this escalator looking down into a store where there's still people, and then above, and I'm just like, nobody knows that I'm up here. Like I am truly in like an area that is restricted and not supposed to be known about.
So I want to do a cool experiment with that. That's an excellent example of a liminal experience. But the emotional phenomenon behind that is where people disagree. So before you say anything, I want you, if you were in his shoes, how would you describe the emotions that he felt?
I definitely feel a sense of exploration. I love like a what's it called when a trespassing space? Allegedly, I like trespassing.
Urban
space.
exploring.
Urban
Urbex.
exploring.
Political
Don't
correct.
say trespassing.
Urbex. It's
Literal
urbex.
crime.
Urban exploration.
Breaking an entry.
And the thing that would call me over is how like sort of things get darker, the further spaces are, and yeah, I think when I think of liminal spaces, it's like that mist, that space so big that you can't see the end, so it almost like it's infinite.
So it's not, what I'm hearing from you is excitement, kind of, and curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity.
Okay. If you were in his shoes and you were up there and you heard the noise, the distant sound of things going on, and and all that, and you were there on your own, what would you feel?
I'd say it's pretty uncanny. You know, it's almost like there's something happening beyond, and you're not there, and then you're kind of like stuck in this moment where no one else is. I'd say that's a pretty eerie, uncanny feeling.
So it's scary almost.
A little bit, yeah.
Like
a little unsettling.
Scary, trippy, unsettling.
Yeah.
Almost lonely.
Yeah.
Very cool. When I experience these spaces, I feel like depersonalized. I feel like I almost question. It's existential for me. Mm-hmm. It's existential. Something about it is quantum. What I mean by quantum is it's like I'm at a fork in reality where I'm like, whoa, I feel like I chose the wrong prong. Mm-hmm. And now I accidentally got left behind. Whereas reality went right and I went left. And I might never be able to catch up. but it's also, yeah, so it's lonely, but it's also almost, I feel like I've kind of returned home. So it's this emotion that there isn't a name for, being home, hominess.
Mm-hmm.
But how did you feel?
It was interesting, but it also puts you in this sort of headspaces, even though I was given the authority by a person to go in there and stuff, that I should not be in there. Like,
Yep.
it does not, I mean, and this experience, like, a lot of the nostalgia had been stripped away too, right? Because it is this thing where, like, as a company, they're trying to recover as much as they can. So you could see that there was an attempt to sell as much as they could, like price tags and stuff on everything. So there is this sort of like, it's like an eerie feeling of like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here. This is not a space I'm supposed to be in. But also I've been directed to go to this section. Like, you pass through this whole big open space into literally like another hallway to get to these change rooms and stuff. And you can see that there's all these jackets and stuff hanging in there. So that's where all the staff for all the stores that are still open in this mall are going every day.
Yeah.
So then there's almost this feeling of like comfort too, right? Where it's like, you know, the mall has recovered from this downfall or torment, right?
So I heard a lot of different emotions. I heard fear, right? Because or feeling like you shouldn't be there. And then almost you describing like, you know, the fact that they had to liquidate things. That's almost like sacrilegious, which means that you clearly had a perceived significance for the space. You probably had childhood core memories there, right?
I can list so many things I got from Sears. Like,
Right.
it's just, and that was like the crazy thing about it too, is seeing like advertisements that I hadn't seen since like 5 or 6 years ago, and being like, I remember this kid's face. And like, for me too, the big, like, you know, what the hell moment is being in like Hamilton, a city that's like super far away, and that being like the place where I experienced a Sears that were like all over the place too, where like, you know, I remember the Sears at like the Eaton Center that's now Nordstrom, which is now empty again too, because they just liquidated everything.
If you want to see advertising and like things that haven't changed, just go to like any hot dog stand that's like open up. They haven't changed. They still have their like 90s very like businessman getting a hot dog, and like the Coca-Cola
laundromat,
laundromats too,
Dry
like,
cleaners.
they all have the
I guess,
old Coca-Cola and Sprite and like all the old sort of like logos too, and
So
it's
my
fun.
theory here, and I want to hear what you guys think about this, is that the reason I asked all of you what you felt, my theory, because sometimes, because I go to these spaces a lot, as you probably understand, and I feel all of those emotions in rotation, but they don't feel different. It's the same. So I think that there's an emotion we don't have a name for, that we feel every time we go in these spaces, and everyone feels it very similarly. However, the way that we process it is different. It's like it's almost like an uncomfortable, unfamiliar emotion that we very, very rarely feel. So then when we feel it, we call it different things. We react, oh, this is fear. It's weird because there's like this almost like oxymoron where it feels like you're both at home and you're somewhere you really shouldn't be. Right? So that's why I asked that.
Damn.
I
That's
think
jarring.
Yeah,
Well,
I
then
want to put a name to it now.
Wait, we can do that right now.
Oh yeah. What would you call it?
What's your middle name?
Leandro.
That.
Leandro. That's the feeling.
I didn't know your middle name was
It is
Leandro.
Leandro.
Well,
It
you
was
learned
leandering.
something. Leandering is kind
How
of like
about,
wandering, and also
meandering.
kinda
Sounds like
Meandering. How about jelk? Well, when you think about the word liminal, semantically, it means like a transitionary space or a transitional space. But I feel like now the word has kind of been, I wouldn't say hijacked, but let's say like kind of, it takes on a different meaning as to something more nostalgic or something childhood related. Do you think that this phenomena is very prominent now because the aesthetics and the things that we find liminal are things that were pre-iPhone, pre-internet explosion, and we're sort of like acknowledging a major shift in the way we live?
I think you're right. I think that there's different. I think you're right about the phonetic meaning of liminal, It's a transitory state. It's very quantum. Like, I'll use that word again. It's like you're at the point of a fork in the road, but you're standing before the prongs have split. And that can manifest in different ways. And one of those ways is definitely nostalgia, past, future, present, and blending those things. And I like to say on my tours that we're actively time traveling. Because if you believe in, I guess, object permanence, and you believe that if this is made 3 weeks ago, then this is 3 weeks ago, right? It wasn't made today. So I'm holding the past right now. Yeah. But you can also go and immerse yourself in it. And you can be in a space where 90% of everything around you is from the 1970s. Yeah. So that's very liminal in that you're from the present, but you're in a space that's from the 70s. And especially if you have memories, like I don't have memories of the 70s, but if you did, that would be especially liminal. But it's not the only manifestation of liminal. There can also be, just spaces of significance where, like, imagine Bloor Young Station, one of the busiest places in the city. Imagine going there during rush hour and it being completely empty. Right? I guess that place is also kind of dated, but it's not nostalgic in a sense. It's modern, it's recent. But
they've taken out everything that was once there.
Yes, exactly. So the emptiness echoes. There's a dissonance. There's a cognitive dissonance between your perception of that thing and your experience of that thing. And I think that's at the root of all liminality, is perception versus experience. People are using that term for things that I would say don't seem liminal to me, and probably aren't actually accomplishing that emotion that we just talked about. Leanderance.
Yes. Leanderance, yes.
Leanderosity. And so I do think, but then again, it's not really, it's kind of futile getting into I don't think this feels this way to you. And the fact of the matter is, we all had, even if we were born in the same generation, we had different childhood experiences, different core memories. For sure. So the kind of the magnitude of leanderance for each individual of this emotion, this emotional phenomenon, will be different. Yeah. But the goal the experiment with the tours that I run was, if I could pull on something, if I could bring people to a variety of places, that although not every single one would have the same impact on everyone, by the end of it, everyone will have at least achieved a minimum of something significant.
For sure.
Yeah. Have you tried getting people to sort of find their past clothing or maybe their old phone and sort of try and live in a more of a nostalgic way while they go there?
That's really clever.
Putting away, like what he said, putting away the phone and being in this space was something you would have done. And I'm not going to fit into my 6-year-old clothing now that I say that. But I get, dressing of the time and, using the technology of the time to feel more immersed into where you are.
I think it's even this question with liminal space, though, that dressing for the time, regardless of if you dress like Y2K and stuff, these are still spaces that have been there since the 70s, and for some reason they've still become a fixation for a whole other generation, right?
When you
I think the thing with selecting and curating your own liminal experience is that what's the value is when you're surprised with something that you forgot that you remembered. Yeah. And so and that's the sad truth about the tours that I curate, is that often, since I've curated them, it's really for everyone else, because I've selected it. It's when we pull up to the Woodbine Shopping Center in the school bus, and they see the facade, and it's nighttime, so they start to see the lights of the spinning carousel through the facade of the mall, and they're and they swore they had never been there, and then they go, "Holy shit,
I've been here."
I
mean, you start with a good beat because you're in a school bus, we would have went there in a school bus, and if you gave everyone those spinny hats, maybe they'd feel like.
Well, I do. So I don't do that exactly, but what we do, and also on the note of supporting small business, because we want to really make it clear that we're not celebrating the death of malls or the death of small businesses, or we're not celebrating socioeconomic disparity in the city. even though that is clearly highlighted in a lot of these dead malls we go to. That's usually what follows is you're in a socioeconomically disparaged community. So what we do is we highlight how important it is to support small business, and we do that by having a show and tell contest. So I give everyone a challenge. We're going to see 4 dead malls today, or 5 malls, and in one of these, at least one of these malls, buy something, ideally, to make it accessible, under $30. But hey, if you want to support them more, support them more.
Yeah.
And then on the way back, the way that we stay entertained is on that hour drive back, we take turns improving and doing a show and tell contest.
That's good.
And so people often do buy things, like you're saying, that were part of their childhood. Someone bought like a lunchbox.
Yeah.
It was me. I bought I was gonna like tell the stories, and I was like,
oh,
no,
this
they'll
man.
They'll check the Instagram and they'll see it was me. I bought, basically what I did was I made, because I wanted to participate. I bought an old lunchbox and I filled it with. I told everyone I packed my dream lunch from when I was in elementary school, and I opened it and it was just like loose Fruit Loops pouring all out of the box.
Bear paws and
Yeah.
Oreos.
Yeah, so that does factor into it.
That's really good that you sort of encourage people to spend money here. That makes the whole trip like worthwhile, and for both you and the malls that you're going to.
Yeah. You've been talking to some outlets and like media outlets, and like I'm sure you've encountered people who don't really grasp like what liminal is. Like we're young, we're on Instagram and TikTok, Reddit, whatever.
Maybe
just we encounter the term liminal, and we encounter like hyper nostalgia. But have you ever had people who don't really understand? Like how have you explained it to them, like what they're seeing?
Well, so on the Dead Malls tours, I branded it as such so that it had a broader draw than just liminal experiences.
Yeah.
And I think by I called it Dead Malls Field Trip. And I had a reel of us walking through a bunch of malls that were completely stuck in the 90s and had a lot of empty lots and just were a little bit dilapidated. And a lot of people were drawn to that. And when I'm on the tour, the first question I ask is, who here knows what liminal means? And I swear to you, it's usually less than half of the people. But they're all there for the same reason. Because whatever you call it, it's a fascination that's almost universal. But it's not, it isn't universal. I shouldn't say it's universal. There are people that just don't get it. And they don't feel it. And they're just like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, thanks for coming anyway. Checking it out. Yeah.
Do you think like liminal is just something like a phenomena of our generation, or do you think like, let's say like 100 years ago, someone in the Georgian era would be like, you know what, the Victorian era is pretty liminal.
I miss that Victorian market.
Yeah.
It was so divine.
Yeah. Do you think this is something that repeats like with different generations, or is this something specifically with our generation?
I think the sensation of being in a space that lacks something central to it has to have been something core in humanity. Evolutionarily, probably it told us that there's something wrong here. There's a booby trap. Or I'm here and I have this, my spidey senses are tingling, right?
Yeah.
That's something that we probably were selected for evolutionarily. However, turning that into a meme or a fascination probably hasn't happened all that many times in history. I think that, and I'm curious about the truth to this, but I do know that we often hear that we're accelerating in our advancement, and we're advancing faster than we ever have as a kind. And I think that would fuel the desire to feel hyper nostalgia and the desire to kind of escape from this rapid, this inertia.
Yeah.
Right? And it's an escape, right? It's like a super accessible escape.
Yeah, like the way sorry, Lagan. The way things, I guess, feel right now. You mentioned just like taking the encountering a space is like walking on the wrong prong, It almost feels like right now, everyone, our entire like society has taken the wrong prong. And maybe we're actually entering the right prong, This
I have no
time of
idea.
before.
This
I
episode
I
is
don't know.
entering the right.
I don't know, but like the whole we can like that
Yeah.
wrong prong thing has been a fast. I hope we can trademark that wrong
Okay,
prong
yeah.
theory.
Yeah.
That's been a fascination of mine since high school.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's deeper, it's existential, and it's all about whether free will versus determinism. Can you actually make the wrong decision? And not just the wrong decision, that's part of your story where it's a
Yeah.
learning whatever. No, but actually can you accidentally exit your own story and do something that just wasn't
Yeah.
And thank you all, everyone.
Yeah.
like just
the wrong
completely
dialogue option.
break the matrix,
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
do something that is self-sabotaging and bizarre.
I think it even like to go back to that you were talking about Bloor and Young Station earlier too, and that one's like it's fascinating because I know there's a liminal space that you have explored near there to Cumberland Place, where it is like
Yep.
this mall that used to be super affluent, and like that's where people were going to shop, and now it's like right in the middle of downtown, but nobody goes there. Like
Yep.
I've been there, and it was because it was the only place that had a specialty Belgian import chocolate place, but other than that, there's nothing that really says like I should go there. And even if you look at like the sort of traffic of it, there's nobody there except
Yep.
for like the people that have been going there every day because they have a specific shop that need to be in there. To you, what is this? How do you think these spaces form in the first place, especially when they're in areas of high traffic that could,
Yeah.
possibly have people coming and going from the subway and stuff?
So it starts with profit incentive, right? So Cumberland Terrace is one of my favorite liminal spaces. I recommend you guys all check it out if you haven't. It's a walkway that connects Bay and Bloor Station, and it was initially supposed to be part of the path, but today it's a disconnected underground shopping center. So, but you can still go there. Like there's I think 1 or 2 restaurants that are still down there in the cafeteria.
It's a really cool cafeteria.
It's so cool.
I was about to say the path, but I'd like never been there, so I
You've
don't think
definitely
I
Have you
been
ever been
there.
to Path?
You've definitely been to the Path.
Maybe,
You
yeah.
ever
See,
been-
that's the thing. It's like, oh, I've
Yeah.
never been there, and then you go there, and it's like,
Yeah.
this is where.
Dude, every time, like, because my girlfriend lives in Mississauga, I drop her off to Union. Sometimes I'm just like, because there's direct entrance to the Path from Union Station. I'm just like, I'm gonna see how far I can go through the Path. Like
We're gonna do that in the winter.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
like walk to. As I've gone as far as Adelaide.
You
but
can
like,
get
I'm trying
you
to
can
map
get
it
up
out.
past college.
Well, it used to be.
Can ya?
Bloor, yeah.
You used to get to Dundas because the bus terminal that just closed recently.
Yeah.
I think that's the northmost
Greyhound.
point.
The
Yeah,
Greyhound
and that
coach
used to be
terminal.
a really cool liminal area. But I don't want to get too off topic. You guys should all come on a tour.
Yeah.
We'd love
Why
to.
don't you come on the 16th? Anyway, we'll talk.
There is a tour happening the 16th. Wait,
December?
Where do you
Yeah.
where do you guys like meet up?
I'm
For
free.
this one in particular, we meet at 222 Spadina at the Chinatown Center.
Uh-huh.
That
That's-
one's
yeah,
Or- yeah.
incredible,
That's great
incredible.
too, yeah.
Yep. A few of the vendors there don't like me. Anyway, yeah, we start there. But anyway, I want to answer your question, which is how does that happen? So, Cumberland Terrace. So this is prime real estate in the middle of Yorkville.
Yeah.
This is some of the most expensive sitting empty real estate. And it's been that way for, I think, 15 years, at least 10 years. What happens is that a developer buys it and they go, okay, we're going to develop it. And then they get stuck in the bureaucracy of getting permits. And they've been trying to demolish this thing for 10 years,
Yeah.
over 10 years. I learned this from Reddit, so it's definitely true.
Yes.
And but they've been held up. I think there's been some community backlash against the plans that they had for the development. They haven't even been able to demolish it yet.
Do you
And-
want to know what the backlash is?
What?
They want to put affordable housing, and the problem is that they believe by putting in affordable units, it's going to drop the value of all the other apartments that are already built there. So you have the people saying, yes, we want it redeveloped. No, we do not want affordable housing. So it's this back and forth of how many units will be affordable
Yep.
and how tall they can build a tower, because they're like, oh, well, if we're going to build these affordable units, it's got to be 10 stories taller. And the city's like, you can't be the tallest building in the area. Like
That's fascinating.
yeah.
it's also like how like all these places we mentioned, they just get smaller and smaller. And I said that in my head before I said it out loud. And it made me think about how all the McDonald's playhouses are like concreted over, but they were still there. Cause those were like, you know, if you could get inside there, if you could get a camera underneath a McDonald's, there's a treasure trove of stuff they probably left.
This is a rabbit hole.
Yeah. I
Values
think
sealed
my
off.
my brain's been going to so many places because it's just like flooding back.
Yeah. I was going to ask, like, when you think of liminal, the word space usually follows, right? But as you mentioned with hyper nostalgia, it's liminal is not just limited to spaces, but also objects, music, aesthetics. Like, what do you think? Let's say, for example, makes a liminal object or a liminal song?
Well, we set ourselves up really well for that question because it's all about that emotion, right? It's all about tapping into that emotional phenomenon. We had a name for it.
Leanderism.
Thank you. Yeah.
Leander feeling.
The Leander-esque quality of it.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, as a Leanderite, you might understand. No, just things that sometimes an object can be so loud that it immerses you like an environment, right? Like if you've ever gone to like a Salvation Army or a Value Village and you find something from your childhood, and then that becomes your environment while you're looking at it. You don't see the kids screaming behind you, or maybe you are that kid, or But so objects and environments, we could get into a real pickle with this conversation.
Right,
what the difference really is.
Let me ask, what comes to mind if I say a liminal painter?
A liminal painter?
Yeah, liminal artist.
Are you asking me to say you?
No, I'm not asking.
Okay, no, okay.
I'm still alive.
Oh, yeah. No, there's... Okay, I have an answer for that. It's actually my favorite painting.
Okay.
Monk by the Sea. Do you know this one?
I do not.
We'll pull it up.
Monk by the Sea. If you can pull up that painting, it's my all-time favorite painting. It's in the expressionistic or impressionistic sublime category of art. I'm blanking on the name of the artist, which is unusual, but it's essentially a vast, roaring ocean.
Caspar David Frederick.
Thank you.
Mr. Caspar David Frederick.
Thank you. There it is.
Okay.
Thanks,
And
Jamie.
It's a roaring,
Thanks,
it's a roaring
Jamie,
sea.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. And you hardly notice that there's a monk standing right by the sea and just willowing in its vastness.
Yes, the horizon is very
Yeah.
clear,
Like it-
and
Probably crazy chlorine smell.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
No, I'm joking.
that's
But
some
it
of
definitely it does evoke that same sort of feeling of everything and nothing at the same
It's got a
time.
leandering feeling.
yeah, and the depth, how it gets darker and darker,
Yep.
makes it feel infinite, and that's where I want to go.
whoa,
I want to go there
whoa.
because it's what is there? I want to know.
And I do want to go down that rabbit hole of when you mentioned the concreted playground.
Some stuff is like concreted over, but it's still there.
Right. So, and that gives me goosebumps. Did you know that the city of Toronto used to have, back in the days of horses, in the horsey days, when they had horses, they had public washrooms on the corner of all the major intersections, including Spadina and College, for example, and Queen and Spadina. And they were underground. You'd step down, say 20 feet, and there would be a public washroom. I don't know the engineering of that. But what I do know is that their solution, when they decided those were no longer needed, was that they filled them with concrete.
Yeah.
And then they paved over them multiple times over the
Yeah.
years. They're still there.
Perhaps it's best we don't open this washroom.
Yeah, but it's
A
fascinating,
19th
though,
century fart, shall I say?
Yeah.
The floor.
Even for the space we're sitting in right now, like out in the lobby, you can read about it.
Oh,
this
yeah.
this used to be, this was a hospital for like the typhoid outbreak and
Really?
stuff. That's what the land is sitting on. They did a bunch of archaeology and they found all this stuff. Toronto is like a city that is, due to the nature of it being built in the old lake bed, there is so much buried stuff. Like
Wow.
the land that is south of Front Street, that was all the lake. That's all piers and ports that have been filled in and stuff. These are all spaces that people lived in, experienced, and they don't exist anymore. Even like John Street, like right over there, there's this thing. It's the John Street Tunnel, and it goes all the way from where the CN Tower is up way past to like even past the AGO and stuff. And it's this underground tunnel that was used for when the city flooded to flow water out. It still exists there. It's just paved over. And it has existed there for thousands of years because in the mud there, they've found from the old lake bed, like indigenous footpaths and stuff. So I think even when you talk about liminal spaces, it's this questioning of like, there's a nostalgia of a space, but even before that space was there was something else that existed in that space.
And it's that transitory, it's that realization that the past and the future and the present can somehow exist simultaneously. Goosebumps.
I think it's also a question of, can they, right? Like as we slowly, like personally for me, I see a lot of liminal space disappearing. Like it's just going away. Like it's that shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And I don't know what the answer to that is because
money.
The sands of time shall march on.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't expect any of these malls to say, hey, you like the way they look right now? Let's just stay unprofitable. You know?
Just keep this way
for sure.
So is studded.
But that's what also makes it liminal, is that we know it's not going to last. Yeah.
Do you think like, let's say 30 years from now, and I don't know, let's say they make cannabis stores illegal again. And you know, you walk by these cannabis stores and like some kids are going to be like, damn, this is pretty liminal.
Yeah, that's a huge question, right? That's a huge question. Is what's going to be
in
our
future of liminal
supposedly
spaces,
synthetic, superficial environment where we discard everything around us for this golden era in the past? What's going to become that fascination? We're already seeing, since I saw that trend of hyper nostalgia begin in 2021, then it was all about, these old candies. Remember the purple Scooby-Doo gummy?
Yeah.
You remember all these things? And now it's already about, do you remember the Nintendo DS Lite? Do you remember like the old startup screen of Minecraft?
Yeah,
that's Windows Vista.
Shit. I saw people getting nostalgic about Fortnite because they just released the new map again after 5 years, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, this is like a throwback."
Right.
And I'm like,
we're already,
where does? And I guess it's a question for society: is where does like the line between, like fond memory and nostalgia truly land? Right? Like there is obviously a period of time that has to pass before nostalgia becomes.
I'm just imagining like 20 years from now, like a TikTok edit, and it's like Skibbity Toilet, but like slowed down, just like
it's gonna
remember
in black and white.
Soon,
fueled in nostalgia.
Take it to an extreme. One day they're going to be nostalgic about. There's going to be a whole movement about what's a crazy form of therapy of naturopathic therapy is taking off the lens, and looking at the real world. Right. It's going to be like, how long can you actually do it for? I did 30 seconds.
Yeah.
That was enough.
Dude, I miss bottom text, bro. Top text and bottom text.
I think like it is this questioning of like what we deem as important, why we deem it as important, and how that importance can shift dependent on its need and use, I guess. So I recently had the privilege of speaking at my alma mater at OCAD. I spoke for Alexander Manu's class. He was my thesis advisor. And what I told them, and my main message to them, was basically, it's your responsibility to keep yourself interested. And being bored is your own fault. And so there's nothing wrong. In fact, it's completely necessary to pursue curiosities that have nothing to do with what's making you money. And if it does have something to do with what's making you money, even better. And that's how I explain how
I'm a conversational designer. I work in AI, and then I have a liminal tour company, and then I also have an AI synthetic voice company. I have all these different unrelated things because they all keep me interested. Yeah.
Dude, I thought about like how, you know, there's this one AI voice, and it's like a dude who sounds kind of like the raccoon from
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's not him. But it's also like this AI voice. I think it's a challenge to the illustrators to like listen to this voice and create the person that is like speaking, because they're not a real person, but after hearing their voice so much, it's almost like you've developed like a little
an image of them.
Yeah, sorta. Some of the AI voices, not the like robotic like. My name is Charlie, and I will be reading your PDF for you. But the TikTok guy, you know.
But I think
That tells jokes.
That tells jokes, you know.
But
like,
I think that's like a general symptom of just like everything, right? Like there's even photos now you can look at and you would think is Photoshop, but it's just AI. Like we're at a point where like, and maybe that's like part of why being like leandering and stuff is so so fascinating and interesting, because it is that like connection back to a time or a space when you knew everything was fucking real.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it was like, this is a wood railing, it can't be nothing but wood because it has a wood texture to it. This is a tile floor because it's tile. Whereas now there's this like, you gotta question everything.
You know what else is kind of liminal? There's this reverse liminal trigger where you for a long time anticipated something, or either you witnessed something happening to people around you and you were always the witness to it, or you anticipated one day happening to you, and then one day that thing does happen to you, or that thing does happen in the world around you. And that's very liminal, because then it immediately reminds you of that place you were when it had only been a concept.
Let's take a look at some images that you've
yes,
brought.
we have some liminal spaces here that
Indeed.
you've graciously donated it to us. So
These are NFTs.
This is where?
This is at Woodbine Center. This is right when you walk in.
This is home for me.
I should have started that. This is my natural habitat.
Yes, this is. I definitely want to come back to Woodbine.
water?
It's been so long.
That's the chlorine with
That's
some
a
water
cool-
in it.
Yeah, that's the source.
The source, yes.
Yeah.
I definitely got to go back. But over here we're looking at
Yeah.
Toy Far
Toy
or
Far,
Toy
Oh,
Far?
that's such a witty image.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
the
No, look at
Toy
the sign
Far.
though.
The Sears.
Look at the sign.
Wow.
You got
Oh, Sears is on there.
You got Sears on there still.
Bay.
I think what's fascinating, the thing that was fascinating me about Woodbine too, is it's like a mall that like survived off of like the horse track nearby, right? And
Yeah.
Damn, those tiles don't connect.
like I've got very, very fond memories of Woodbine because my mom used to teach up there at a school. So like that was like where we would go like once a week. Like even like the old Bay logo, like it's just,
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, Woodbine is really interesting because it's mainly the fantasy fair. Because the fantasy fair, I used to go to camp, and they used to take us on field trips to the fantasy fair. And I used to get lost in the jungle gym, and that was probably one of the most traumatic things of my childhood. Oh, the best. Well, now it's great.
Adventure.
Right? Guess what this is,
This looks like a hospital, maybe.
right?
Is this
it's like a campus.
the Rogers Center?
Yeah, this is Toronto City Hall.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Okay,
Jesus.
now I know what the inside looks like, but
The
Damn,
white
you're allowed to
light.
go in
you
there?
never been in there before?
Brutal white light.
I've only been in like the courtyard.
Oh no, I've been in like the actual like chamber and stuff. It's
yeah,
a
with
really
your
outdated
hands
building.
cuffed behind your back, and
So you walk into the main entrance from Nathan Phillips Square, and then before you even have to go through metal detecting and all that
Yeah.
to get into like the actual industrial area or the corporate area, this is just a free open area where a lot of the employees of the city go and they eat at Cafe Square and they get coffee there.
Yeah.
It closes at 4, of course, everyone's bedtime. And then at the end of the hall is a public library. And throughout the entire building, there's this harsh white light. And I captioned on Instagram when I showed this, I was like, some spaces have this inherent deep darkness that isn't even curable with light.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
No wonder they want to close all the local business to look at this all day.
But I think it's like it's this fascinating thing where like it almost like with the floor looks like it's trying to be modern, but like
Oh,
we
yeah.
moved past it. Like you don't
No,
see
floor-
pattern.
Floor's
and stuff
not real,
anymore.
bro. That's AI.
Well, what you say is interesting. It's trying so hard to not be basically liminal
Yeah.
that it becomes liminal.
Yeah, like it's trying not to be dated,
Yeah.
but it's dated as hell.
Yeah.
Oh my
This is
goodness.
from a screenshot from CS:GO source, right? not source. CS:GO. It's number
There's
2.
a Rainbow Six Siege.
It's so fascinating to me that you guys reacted this way to that
Is
image.
it-
It immediately
It's
looks
a
like
video
a video
game.
game.
That's the same building.
That's the
Yeah.
office from.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Dude, Lakin, you know the map. It's office, right?
Yeah, I
In
know the map.
CS:GO?
100%. I mean, it looks like it's like generated. Like it
Yeah.
looks like a computer program. I'm sorry.
Remember, no Russian.
No, no.
This is the second floor.
Well,
At least they got Pepsi.
I was about to say we can't say Pepsi on the podcast. They don't sponsor us. So.
I think-
Okay. Coke partner.
Coke, yeah. But,
Do you know what you should
wow.
start checking out if you like stuff like that, if like these liminal spaces and stuff? Community centers in Toronto are
Oh,
like
yeah.
the best things.
Yeah.
Like I can name like
'Cause no one
3 or
goes.
4 in the West End that just like they give me like the, and you know what else is like a
The heebie-jeebies?
hockey arenas.
Oh, hockey.
Oh,
yes.
They're stuck in
Hockey
like this
arenas.
like they have like the brick, the staggered
Yeah.
nasty brick, the wood.
Because the
trim.
people, it's those are the kind of people that would say, "Don't
it ain't
fix
broke,
it if it
don't
ain't
fix-
broke."
yeah.
You know, this
Hell
place has the
yeah.
best. They'll be like, "This place has the best ice." It's like, well, they change the ice every
Yeah.
day, so
Yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of weird that like there's tile all the way at the end on the ceiling, and then there's just not. It's like it's almost like then it becomes infinite.
Whoa, yeah, I didn't even catch that.
Well, since it's like so shiny, some of the other
Yeah.
ones were doing that too, but it also seems like those like signs are floating, dude.
yeah, this one. Do you guys know what this is?
Nah.
No.
Really, this is Chinatown Center.
Yeah, it's 222.
Yeah,
Oh,
this is the
wow.
first
I guess-
floor, and essentially this is the first floor. But if you take the steps down when you walk it outside, take the steps down. There's a statue of the man there.
Yeah.
You walk
It's-
down and you can enter, and there's this whole kind of atrium of doors, like 180, and you can choose where you enter. This is if you enter on the left, but if you enter straight forward, you see those doors there. That's the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
That is the most, and there's going to be a photo of that here. The most liminal space in Toronto. Quote me on that.
Yeah. Whenever I go there, I always thought it was so small because I'd just go around the circle of the escalator.
Yep.
I didn't get to this part, but that's the same place, right?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
They're all the same.
That's kind of the point.
This
That's
is-
what makes them
They're
liminal.
part of the same universe. This is Dragon City Mall. So
Yeah,
it's
Dragon City.
Oh,
I
I'm thinking
fucking
it's
knew
It's
it.
a few steps. Oh, so yeah.
I was thinking of there.
Yeah,
but
they're not
that-
far.
Then that's in Spadina, and then 222.
Yeah.
It's further up Spadina. Like it's like
Yeah.
Closer to
That's
OCAD.
where
It's-
Mans gets their Gucci belts.
Yeah.
Maybe both of them. Yeah.
it's the one that's just fascinating with Dragon City Mall. It still has like a weird little like arcade in there, but it's like it has the vintage aesthetic, but they've put all modern machines in there, and it makes me feel so icky.
What's crazy about this area here is this. So this is when you walk into Dragon City, you can hang a really sharp right, where there's the stairwell that you can either go all the way up, and there's a really nice restaurant at the top,
Yeah.
or you can go down to the basement, and that's what I've done here. And you walk, and then there's this water fountain, looks waterfall-like thing, and it's not on. But there's there's huge real estate down there that's empty, and it's just full of construction supplies right now.
Mm-hmm.
But as you walk by this water fountain, they use a cleaning product, either in the washrooms or as part of the water fountain. I don't know what. It smells intensely like a candy, like nibs. Like nibs. You know the smell of
Yeah.
nibs licorice? It's not
Yeah.
like regular licorice. It's super sweet. And every time I walk by there, and I do a walking tour through here, and all the people on the tour say, "Oh, what's that smell?" They're like, "That's my childhood candy."
Yeah.
Shout out Nibs, dude.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I haven't been here.
That's that food court I was talking about at not Dragon City, at Chinatown.
Have you ever like been taking a photo and then like just about you're taking a photo, some guy like come clean the counter and you're like, oh, it's not it.
I wish, and if that does happen, then I don't take the photo. And a
Oh,
lot of people accuse me of waiting for literally like the 1 second that nobody's there, as if there's all these people crossing and I time it.
as if anyone goes
I
to
have
the
like
mall.
hundreds of
Yeah.
variations of this photo
Yeah,
timestamped
yeah.
at like peak hours.
I saw one comment on a post of yours where someone's just like, "These are from the pandemic."
Sorry, they're not.
No.
No,
sorry.
it's like no one's sitting here, bro. They don't even have food in their like little display case.
Well, what's crazy is that, and this is where I went with Hayden Waters of CBC.
Yeah.
When I did the radio interview, we walked here, and he noticed something that I hadn't noticed, which is that in these display cases, there are soda drinks
Yeah.
that have been expired for like 12 years
Wow.
Jesus.
on display. So it's not
The
even
same with
that,
the hot dog stands, dude. They're just the display
okay, so I should
drinks.
check next time.
Yeah.
But what's crazy about these is it's not even that, like, it's not that these are failing businesses. It's that the businesses left,
Yeah.
but they left a lot of their tools and things.
Just behind.
Yeah.
Where did
It's
they
the-
go?
It's like this photo right here is just bringing me back to that mall I was talking about earlier at like Islington and the Queensway, because it was like it had a restaurant in there in the Zellers that had the same like metal chairs and
Yeah, this
tile and
patio
everything. Like,
furniture.
it's just like that. It just doesn't make sense.
That
but-
furniture is made to be rained on.
Mm.
and I was just trapped forever.
Let's go through a speed round through these.
Yeah, same place.
Same place, different angle.
Yeah.
Oh,
The adult video store that I wasn't
No.
allowed. Oh no, the video
No.
store. It's Blockbuster.
So it's
Yeah.
basically Blockbuster, but it's open right now. It's not Blockbuster. It's Bay
It's not.
Street Video.
Yes.
If you walk through Cumberland Terrace, that's a great opportunity, because then once you get to Bay, you just go down the street. Incredible
Oh man, that
store.
carpet is calling my name.
Yeah, on Instagram, I put a video of that where I masked over Neverending Story on the
Yeah.
TV. Yeah. North York Sheridan.
North York Sheridan, 2 lone trees. Or maybe
Fighting for
3.
the light.
This is what happens if they hadn't removed the plants in malls from the 90s. They become
Yeah.
like tropical and huge.
I think what's amazing is that all the benches, which are outdoor benches, are facing inwards to this plant. It's like very ritualistic, It's like
This place was busted.
it's got
Yeah,
the
When it's got the
dry
benches.
cleaner.
I gotta say, this
alteration
place
dry
is
cleaner.
still popping. Like,
Yeah?
they still get a lot of traffic. It's just
Yeah.
that certain parts of the mall,
Are
for
just-
some reason,
Yeah.
don't see any.
So you
of
waited
those.
to take this picture.
No, you can look anywhere and no tile lines up. That's like
Because this probably used to be a fountain or something.
Yeah.
like
Oh,
what they used
shit.
to do, right?
Yeah.
That's so true.
Oh yeah, it's a perfect spot for it.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
This-
It's my
yeah.
girlfriend's street.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, these ready-made houses that are not ready-made, they're just
Yeah.
copy paste.
This is like Minecraft. I call
Minecraft
this
house.
Minecraft. This is it's called Cathedral Town in Markham. What you don't see here is that if you look backwards, there's a huge cathedral. It looks like the Vatican, like city cathedral. And the Pope, prior to this one, had actually been there to bless it in the 80s.
Oh wow.
But they never finished building it.
Hmm.
It's very bizarre.
So it's just like
They
a
pre-order.
semi-finish.
And all the surrounding and all the surrounding buildings
pre-order.
all the surrounding buildings are not more than 2 stories high. So as soon as you even come close to this neighborhood, you just see this vast cathedral over all
It's
these.
like, Edward Scissorhands.
Total. Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Yeah.
So strange.
Town in a building.
That's some-
magnificent.
Oh wow! Oh dude,
It's
is
like
that
Taekwondo?
is that my
dojo.
Taekwondo class on St. Clair?
No, that's one. That one's on college, Little Italy.
Oh dude,
Yeah.
that's my Taekwondo class.
See, I was wondering if I noticed it, but I literally passed that place so many times. It's
Yeah.
near like
You
PG
just-
Clucks or something.
Yep.
Or it's near down
Right
that-
beside it.
Yeah.
It just
okay,
triggered
wow.
a liminal memory.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
with
That's what it makes you
Like,
feel
imagine
like it's-
being in there, as its current state, no one else in there, and just beating and punching back.
They never
Becoming-
let me.
Just you're on your hero
I
arc.
beat too many kids. They'd be like, "Get out! You're too strong." This was last week, of course.
Oh man. Which?
yeah.
I know where that is.
You know what?
Queen.
It's Vaughan
And
Street.
It's right. It's,
Vaughn, I was gonna say it's not Vaughn.
it's Queen and some. It's right by the Gladstone.
Right? He got it.
Man,
he got
son
it.
of a
What's
gun.
weird? What
The
do you
Lakin
guys find
strikes
weird
again.
about this?
It's okay. I know this space, so I'm not gonna. You guys.
What's weird
go.
about it?
Is that just like a?
Is that
Is
the
it just
entrance?
enclosed? There's no cash?
Yeah,
or-
everything is in frame. It's a pizza.
Yeah.
And it's got all the decor of a pizza that you're familiar with, but it's completely enclosed.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Right.
you can't buy a pizza in there. You
No.
like just go into the next spot to buy the
Yeah.
pizza, and then you
It's-
go in there.
It's like, yeah, like it's there's
cool.
a store, and then it's a hallway behind another thing, and then it's a second part of the thing.
'Cause that's
I don't
where
even
we're
think
doing
they
the next
open that
podcast.
part
It's
anymore.
So weird.
That's where we're doing podcasts.
It's, like, it's
Man.
that place is crazy too, because like I have core memories of walking past it and seeing people like fist fighting and stuff in there because the staff are on the other side and they just don't care past a certain point of night. Like it's in an area now that has
Yeah,
become
that ceiling,
gentrified, but it
too.
sits right on the border of like
Yeah.
Parkdale and downtown.
What's crazy too is that it's like a display case where when you're in there, you can't really see outside well. Like it's just this dark glow. When you're outside, you see everything in great detail.
Yeah.
No privacy.
I'll take you guys there once more.
Yeah.
Slices off.
This is Planet Fitness.
This is the this is the community shower, the community center shower.
It's like a morgue.
Somewhere.
This is the Good Life on
Welcome
Bathurst
to the
and
good
no
life.
on Bloor and Bay, Bloor and Young, Yorkville Good Life.
Mm.
So you weren't wrong.
Damn.
It is Planet Fitness
Yeah.
community
Wow.
center.
I think it's like the employee storage room.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
we are.
we made it.
That's-
Those are some good ones.
That's crazy.
Yeah. We
It's-
went. Give us your
He's
take.
lost
while
for
I-
words.
Well, no,
He's
I just think
having
it's like
a-
He's
there's
meandering.
the thing about it is it is like literally it comes back to like the use of the same materials, the same lighting, the same color palette
Yep.
that brings it into this space. Like you don't see cement and wood mixed together
Yeah.
anymore. It's just
Right.
a weird mix of material.
Oh yeah. Okay. Right off the bat. What is the most liminal subway station? Your opinion?
Well, okay, it's between DuPont Station, and I'll describe the specific instance
Okay.
that triggers that emotion.
Yeah.
Is either when you're on the escalator going up and you're emerging into the submarine, or at Spadina Station, which was supposed to be 2 subway stations.
Mhm.
It was supposed to be a Lowther station,
Mhm.
but they cheaped out, and they decided to just make a long hallway.
Yeah.
And that hallway, as you're walking,
Yes.
once you get to the
Oh,
middle of
yeah.
it, you keep
Yeah.
walking,
Mhm.
but what's in front of you doesn't get any closer. What's
Yeah.
behind of you doesn't get any further, and you're just like almost feels like you're
Yeah.
on a
It's
you know.
ridiculous.
Did you know that hallway used to have airport treadmills?
They
Oh,
used to
yeah,
have a
yeah.
movator,
Yep.
and there's still signage because they
For
were
it.
so confident
Watch the
that they laid
handrail,
it in
yeah.
the brick. It
Yeah.
says, yeah,
Yeah.
nice man.
But here on our podcast, we like to give our guests a gift,
Yes.
and we have something very special for you.
You
Almost
did say
something liminal that.
Yes, from a liminal space.
Thank you guys.
You did say Spadina, but perhaps I can change your mind.
Thank you
And
so
since
much.
it is the season, you can unwrap your gift.
Oh my goodness, you guys didn't have to do this.
Oh, but we had to. A little piece from
Oh,
us.
thank you. I didn't see it. It's like imagine I just don't open it. Whoa, no way, guys.
This is a tile from St. Clair West
No way.
that is in the process of being absolutely gutted,
Deliminated.
That's where I live.
delaminated.
That's where I
Yeah,
live. That's my favorite like commuting station.
and it's like the pillars that hold it up. So you'll definitely go back and you'll
Yeah.
See
Guys,
that
this is fire.
tile.
This is
and-
actually
you'll know where
Yeah.
it fell off.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is like a Nardwar moment.
Yeah.
Exactly. You knew exactly what you
Like,
wanted.
how did you know I was into this stuff?
Hey, we
We
did
had
a
a
little
hunch.
research.
We tapped into the liminal god.
Yeah.
We have to know.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
Doodle
amazing.
doo
Thanks,
doo.
guys.
See
problem.
it.
Thank you.
Bolts. It gets even better each side you flip it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
Yeah.
don't know which side this. My girlfriend is gonna love this.
Yeah.
We have at home. We have bricks from Tommy Thompson. If
Mhm.
you guys
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
been out
yeah.
that far?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we have those all over. So this is like perfect. Thank you.
Yeah,
e-bike spot.
magnificent. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
It was
Yes.
definitely like
It's a lot
one
of
of the
fun.
most intriguing conversations we've had this
Mhm.
season.
You say the most?
Yeah.
We'll
In
put
my
it to a vote.
opinion, yeah.
I
I felt
liked it. It was
very,
very cool.
Thank you, thank you.
uncanny, and
Yeah,
but he
it-
felt curious and he felt fear.
You guys should come on a tour.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The 16th.
I propose this to, I don't know if it's up for
Everyone
you.
listens.
We should give
Come
you
on.
a tour so we can give you
What?
New liminal
Yes.
experiences.
Yes.
What were you?
Yes.
We're not
in
the
fact,
experts.
you
Yapping
should just sell
about.
your tours to my customers.
Yeah. We're gonna do
In
the.
fact, cut my business.
We're gonna do the hot dog cart tour of Toronto.
Yes.
Jesus
Yeah.
Make sure to tip your hot dog stand worker, and we'll see you all next time. Until this place becomes a liminal space.
Yeah. Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Easy.
Take care, everyone. All right. Thank you, man. That was
a lot of fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank
That
you.
was very
Yeah.
good.